Good morning. It's Friday and it's 11 o'clock, so it's my art journal day. And today I want to do something a little different. I've been doing so much with jelly printing that I kind of want to level up with it and show you something else that you can do with them. There's an artist on Instagram called Drew. Now I'm gonna have to remember. Breckner, something like that. We're gonna look it up so I can credit him properly. And he is the inspiration for what I'm doing today. And Drew Steinbrecher. And he is on Instagram. He's a jelly printing artist. You can find him via Burgit's site. She's the jelly printing artist that's running the 31-day jelly printing challenge, so I recommend you checking it out. But this is what I'm working with today. I pulled all my jelly prints that I had lying around the studio, and let me tell you, I had a lot to choose from. And I am going to do, basically I'm just going to layer them into a book. And, okay, sorry guys, touch screens. All right, so I have this little tiny book. That's called Star Wheel, and it's cute. You're supposed to use it to like take notes about stargazing, I think, but I'm using it for this. So what I'm just going to do is go in and layer my jelly prints in next to each other and on top of each other in a graphical way. Graphic way. And so what I've got going on right now, I started it. The pages are a little thin, so it's going to buckle a little bit. I'm not so worried about that. When they dry, they'll dry a little straighter, especially if I press it with some wax paper, which I will. So I'm going to do both sides, and I'm going to use wax paper pretty liberally so I can keep progressing. And he actually demonstrates this on his Instagram, and it's very gratifying to watch. And he has this whole graphic sensibility that's really a pleasure. He knows how to layer his stuff in a way that's really graphically pleasing. He's obviously a graphic artist. So I'm going to come in. I'm just using regular gel medium today and a big flat brush. And so I'm just basically going to collage these pieces together. If you have been watching any of my jelly printing demos, you may remember that I did a few weeks ago. This was the artist whose name I could not recall, who inspired me to do some of the graphic, the really graphic deli paper. So I might use some of this at some point and see what effect I get out of it. So I'm just gonna come through and layer together a few different jelly prints, basically. A lot of these are just leftovers too from other projects. They've been sitting around. I could use a paintbrush or a pair of scissors if I wanted to, but I like my cutting board. So, and again, I'm not thinking super hard about this. I'm just grabbing jelly prints and throwing them down next to each other. If I start to throw something down and it doesn't look good, I will stop and put it somewhere else. But for the moment, this feels right. One of the things I'm going to use though is I have the tape that I did yesterday. This is one that I did not paint over underneath, so it's going to show through a little bit that the paper that's underneath. And if you watched yesterday, you'll know that with some of them, I took the tape and then painted. Here's an example. I painted the back side, so I filled in the blank spots with paint, and then I painted the top side with gel medium to knock down how shiny it is. Like this is basically what I'm doing right now. So I'm painting on top of that tape in order to deal with the fact that it's very, very, very shiny. This one I'm just going to cut by hand. I'm not a fabulous cutter, so I don't always do that, but I'm going to do this. see, that wasn't a completely straight cut. No worries, I will fix that with the next piece that I put down. Say hi if you're watching. I'd love to know who's out there. Let's see. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. So I'm going to keep going into the next page so that I can then put this over the top. Here's one that's been around for a while. I love this graphicness of this. I'm going to do it this way so I can get a little more of the rainbow ombre. I'm going to be honest, I'm fighting a little bit of a moment of don't cut that one up, because I love how graphic and pretty it is, but I'm doing it. I'm doing it. And I'm going to ignore that little bit in between the page and the little gap right there, because this is a stiffer paper, and if I put it in that try to bend it around the spine, it will be unwieldy, and I don't want that right now. Just gonna make it simple. She says, trying to just glue it down.
George says hello.
Hey, George. I was like, I've been doing lives for a year. Have you ever watched any of them?
You said that?
Yes. I got a little petulant with him the other night. I'm going to trim this down. And then I have this box of stuff I'm going to show you later if you come back for the lives. And in that box of stuff happened to be this. And bummer, the packaging was broken, so I had to keep it for myself. I know. Life is sad. So how cool are these tapes? You don't get a huge amount, but look how cute they are. Actually, I'm deciding that huge amounts aren't a good idea anyway, because I have found I don't use them in time, and then they dry up and go weird.
Oh, yeah?
So I'm going to cover up, yeah, they do, they really do. I'm covering up that gap with this washi tape, and it fits nicely with the graphicness.
What's the image on that?
It's just the alphabet. It does look like it's in order,
Yeah.
which is nice. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come along. This I used as a resist to make. Let's see, what did I use it to make? So I was printing. No, that's not exactly it. Anyway, I ended up with this piece of paper. I was using it, and now it's got this lovely black accent to it. Oh no, I'm going to keep going. You are getting a instant preview of how my brain works. A little schizophrenic, to be honest. All right. Any comments?
Lois is writing, was wondering what to do with the tapes. So glad you're using them today.
Yeah.
She watched on Thursday and loved it.
Cool. Excellent. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed the day before that too with the feathers. That was a lot of fun, and I'm really looking forward to. I actually ended up with a couple that I just want to put up on the wall. We're going to play around again later on today with it a little bit, see if I end up with some more. So I really recommend, if you are into jelly printing, that you check out the challenge page, because there's some beautiful pieces of jelly printing art being made, and just lots of great ideas out there. Let's see. I'm going to do this one. I'm going to throw this down. So this is just me playing around. The guy who does these, that was the inspiration, as far as I can tell, he just uses his jelly prints because he's that kind of artist. But I am using everything.
Do you want to post his site?
What?
Do you want to post his site?
Sure.
Or
You want to
just-
do that on Facebook? That would be great.
Yeah. So Lois wants to know, the feathers you used were marabou feathers.
Marabou feathers. be honest, Lois, I don't know. They were just the craft feathers you get at Michael's. I have a huge bag of them. They usually end up on the floor, and you know, creating a mess. So yeah, I'm not sure. I did use the same feather over and over and over again, which was fun because after a while it started transferring the color from the previous print into the next print, and that was very satisfying to watch happen. So I left the torn edge on this one. I just liked it. It looks good.
Jamie Brinker says very cool colors.
Thanks, Jamie. It's nice to hear from you. So yeah, this is what happens when you have all of your jelly prints out at once. You get these great combinations, and it really shows the variety you can get out of jelly printing. If you look, oh, I'm not wearing my mic. I'm so, my brain. Okay, so here's what I want to do now. I'm going to put down this squiggle, and I even like the end being a little raw. So I'm going to leave the end raw, and I'm going to do this in stages. There's that part.
Lois, appreciate your honesty.
Which part?
I think I'll hang out today.
Oh yeah.
This is beautiful.
So look at that. Bam. Now I am going to need to make sure that this bends at the hinge. So there we go. That is some fun stuff. And this is, you notice I haven't leveled up in any way other than to, I've done my layer of jelly prints, and then I put one little element, and I hope you can see how it instantly coalesces as a spread when you put something down over the top like that, and it pushes everything back. It's the same concept as all the other stuff we do in terms of layering and creating visual interest. Oops. All right, so I wanted to trim it, and then I'll wax paper it, and then we'll move on to the next page. Let's see. Almost all of these prints were made on the 8.5 or 8x10 jelly plate, and using all sorts of paint. Blah, blah, blah. But if you have to choose one kind of paint to use, I would really recommend the Liquitex Basics. They are affordable. You get a lot in them. They're a big tube, and they have a really nice opacity to them. Some of the craft paints get a little, some of the cheaper craft paints get a little translucent when you thin them out, roll them out quite a bit. That being said, I have a lot of high quality craft paints, and you know, the distress paints, the Dilutions, you know, Wakely, those are all high quality, high pigmented. Any Ranger products, I think you're gonna have a lot of success with. So there we go, talking out of two sides of my mouth there. I have them all, so never fear. Come in and ask what's the best paint for what you're doing, and I will tell you my opinions on it. So yeah, look at that. How fun is that? You could just sit here and look at it. So what I might come in, this is wet, because I've done, you know, I've used the gel medium. This is regular gel matte medium. It's a, you can see it's a little frosting-y, and but it spreads really well. Once it dries, I might come in, I could write along this edge here. I could add some graphic elements to it, but I'm really happy with how it looks like the second. So I'm gonna throw down some wax paper in between it, and then I'm gonna turn to the next page. And I do wanna do something in particular. So I'm gonna try, and I'm gonna try to remember that I wanna do something in particular and not get caught up in the process and forget, because yeah, that happens too. But I wanna use this paper that's behind here as an overlay. So I'm gonna choose some pages. So I'm gonna be really intentional about this. Ooh, you can see that this book has some really cool different layouts. So I've got some books like this from the series. Okay, so I'm gonna put down my wax paper. I wasn't using wax paper before, and I could see some of the pages were starting to stick together. Okay.
Is that book in the system?
No, it's not. It's something I picked up at my favorite craft store in Seattle. It's a sample, and I have a lot of books like it, so, you know, yeah, but that one in particular is not. All right, so I'm actually going to choose ones with a lot of bold color on them intentionally so that I can so that when they layer next to each other, they show up as, you know, bold stripes of color. So there's one. And I'm just rifling through my buckets of jelly printing. I have, dare I say hundreds? I have hundreds of jelly prints at this point. Again, not thinking much about it, just trying to pull out prints that have a lot of color, and so that there's a lot of contrast, because my thought is I'm going to throw down something over top of it and I want the colors to come through. Ooh, remember when I did that one? That one was fun. Let's see if that. I have to do it this way. You may recognize the cutting board that I'm using. It's the one with the flip and fold, so you can use it to score things, to fold them as well as cut. It's one of my favorite tools.
You're using the scoreboard too?
I'm not using the scoreboard piece of it, but it's the We Are Memories Trim and Score is what it's called. But it might be called a scoreboard in there. They changed the design of it at one point, so it might be under a different name. I am truly working on my "don't cut that piece, I like that piece" voice in my head. Just cut it in here. What else are we going to use it for? And ooh, let's go with, I think if I do this one, I might, maybe I'll just cut this a little bit in half and see about using a bigger piece of it. Okay, so this is fun. I'm gonna set this over here for a second, give me a little more space. All right. Okay, so I'm going to start with this green piece here. My goodness. I'm using a Dina Wakley craft brush. It's her 1.5 inch brush. I have them in stock, and it's perfect for this. It's like wide and flat, so it really is like the perfect decoupage paintbrush. It's a lot of stuff down at once. Now, as I see this developing, I haven't got much of a contrast tonally here, so it looks like maybe my cutter's cutting a little bit wonky. So I'm not getting, you see a little, that it's a little bit wedge shaped, not rectangular. This is a lighter paper, so I'm not so worried about this being over the spine. So I'm gonna do the spine here. gonna go ahead and fill this whole space here on the end with this bright one. Yeah, Courtney's here. She is. You're right. Trust your instincts. There's someone shuffling about in the back room. That's because there's someone, my daughter Courtney's here helping inventory. She's been doing a spectacular job. It's the reason why any of the stuff I've shown you over the last month is even available to buy, because she has been scanning and price tagging, and it's a big job, and she's doing an amazing job of it. Okay, so there, that's the beginning of that. I'm going to add a little bit of tape just to add a little contrast in a couple spots, maybe where this transitions, like that. This is all from that set. Okay, and then I'm going to take some of this paper that a dear customer of mine gave me ages ago, and I've been hoarding it, saving it in order to do something fun with it. And so this is what I'm going to do. Now here's what I'm anticipating. You know, this is on a rice paper. It's been needle felted in that pattern, which is kind of interesting, I think, anyway. And so I'm going to paste it down with this gel medium, and I'm anticipating that the gel medium is going to interact with the netting in a way that makes it a little more translucent and allows you to see through it and see the pattern of the jelly prints underneath. So I did not put enough gel medium out. Okay, so let's see if that's true. Yeah, it is a little bit. Not phenomenal, but you can kind of see how it interacts. And this is kind of true of anything that's translucent. When you put something down with some gel medium, get it wet, it's gonna go a little more transparent, so you can see a little more what's underneath it.
That paper has a texture to it, the circles.
It does, yes. They're 3D. There's a 3D texture to it. You can actually touch the circles. They're physically embedded on into the paper. It's like a wool felt feel to it. But I am pleased to finally have put some of this down. Can you see, hopefully you can see how you can still see the jelly prints behind it and how graphic that is. Another thought is, well, I'm not going to use this, but like if I put that down, maybe I'll do that in the next one. Do one of these and you can see through. Anyway, this is, I'm really enjoying this process. The process of picking and choosing which jelly prints I'm going to use and what I'm going to do over it is really enjoyable. Totally different kind of art journaling, but still doing what I need in terms of making me feel creative and getting those juices going. Remember, in the end, this is all about getting that part of your brain that you tap into when you're being creative activated, because it genuinely produces endorphins for you. And so it really genuinely, it's like exercising in its own way, and it's very good for you. It creates, it calms the brain down, and which some of us need that sometimes, and it allows you sometimes to think more clearly. It also can give you space to process if you're grieving or distressed over a decision you have to make. Sitting down and being creative can sometimes take up the part of your brain that's getting in the way of you making a decision. So There are lots of reasons to create, but some of them are genuinely biological. Like, it's just actually good for your brain and therefore your body. That's my little soapbox for today. Have you had your 20 minutes? They say sweat every day. I say create every day if you can. You know what? I'm gonna leave this bit of fluff. See how it's sticking out? There's part of me that wants to cut it off, but part of me wants to leave it partly because it's making me uncomfortable and I want to live with that for a second. So here are my two layouts. They're so fun to put together. I'm really interested to see what happens when this dries. And well, let's see. You know what I might do? Is that first page that I put together, I might try putting this down over and see if I'm right about the whole translucent deli paper thing. That's what happens when I put this down over all of this stuff. First things first. Let's feel. I have what?
It's 11:27.
Oh, okay. So we're about doing a good job staying on track. There's a nice white streak through here that I'm just going to mitigate with a little bit of tape. Okay, and then I'm going to come along and I'm going to glue this down. Get some. And I'm going to glue it down over the whole page, so I'm going to put Gelli gel medium over the whole thing. Now remember, this is all about experimentation. It's exactly the same concept as all the other kind of work that I do. Don't get too attached, and if you don't like it, you're not finished, so keep going. So I put this down now, and I'm going to coat this with a layer of gel medium. This is a matte medium, so it will end up with a matte finish. And the deli paper is wrinkling a little bit. It's not so happy about being collaged with. But I'm just gonna embrace the wrinkles, right? That's what I keep telling myself when I look in the mirror. Embrace the wrinkles. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna use it to seal down this whole spine area as well. This brush is working really well for this. Okay, so we'll see what that happens when that dries. But you can see the color, you know, showing through the deli paper. So we'll see if that stays that translucent as it dries. I'm gonna put. What I'm going to do to dry this, believe it or not, is I'm going to set it up so that without the wax paper, if I just close it on the wax paper, it'll just take forever to dry. And I mean, it will, it'll dry nice and flat and all that, but I'm a little impatient today, so I think what I'm going to do is instead set it up on its spine so that it can dry like, whoop. Let's see if you guys will see this. Uh-oh. My wax paper is trying to marry my... Okay. All right. So I might just set it up like this and let the pages dry like this. And then with the idea being that I will go in and maybe flatten it after this, after it's dry. But just to give you an idea, look what I got out of this. Very fun. It's a very fun technique. It's a nice one. It's not quite as messy as the paint and layers that I usually do. And yeah, I hope you liked it. Let's see, let's get this down. And let's turn that around so I can say thank you for joining me. Actually, I've set this up so I don't have to move backwards. Anyway, thank you for joining me. And don't forget, it's Friday and Saturday, so you can drop in between 12 and 5. And I know I promised studio hours. I wasn't quite ready for that this week, so look to next week on the schedule. I just have a lot of stuff to move out of the way for you guys to use the space. Thanks for joining me, and stay well, and see you soon.